because I showed the world how to be great. Before you came along, these people loved me. I was the man of the people.
Hey, beef with me, I shoot the block, don't die, we spin again. See a 10 and shoot my shot like bitch, I'm tryna win. Shoot to the stove for the drink, you and all your friends. Taking shots after shots, I'm tryna get it in. Yo, beef with me, I shoot the block, don't die, we spin again. See a 10 and shoot my shot like bitch, I'm tryna win. Shoot to the stove for the drink, you and all your friends. Taking shots after shots, I'm tryna get it in.
Well, it's the Big Show. Fuck Big Show. Whoa! That is not how I meant to start off. I take that back. My apologies, Big Show. I just remembered you was at AEW. That was that AEW hate coming out of me because I do pick sides. That was my fault. I have nothing but respect for Big Show. That motherfucker look just like my uncle. My uncle is black. So yes, I am saying that Big Show looked like a white version of my uncle, and my uncle looked like the black version of the Big Show. If my uncle grew out a beard, and what's crazy is my uncle is a tall motherfucker. Now, he done got shorter in his life now because he's older and he done been through health problems and whatnot. But in his prime, in his heyday, I'm trying to tell you, he looked just like that motherfucker. Well, my bad, Big Show. I'm being hella disrespectful right now. Hella disrespectful. Listen, we got a lot of shit to talk about. Wrasslin with Saint. We are back in the motherfucking building. Listen, I'm so excited to be back. I am so excited. Listen, it's been a long day. Let's talk about my day. So, I thought I was going to get on here tonight and talk to y'all about a karate story. Not a karate story. No disrespect to motherfuckers who take karate. No disrespect. But when I took... So, the first form of martial arts that I took was Taekwondo. Because that's the art of kicking and punching. So I guess I am going to tell this story. That's the art of kicking and punching. Taekwondo. The art of kicking and punching, sir. That's why I'm so respectful. At least as far as like, no, I'm a very respectful person. I'm not going to downgrade my respect. I address people, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no, sir, no, ma'am. All that type shit. I call you what you want to be called. I'm very respectful. I learned that shit taking Taekwondo. So when I took Taekwondo, we used to fight dudes. It used to be dudes who would come over who used to do karate. And this is just like, I'm not disrespecting people who do karate. Because some of the greats did karate before they got into the Muay Thai and the Jiu-Jitsu and the, all the other type, the wrestling and all that type shit. From Taekwondo, though, I went straight to wrestling. Then I went to the Muay Thais and all that type of stuff. I'm going to get back into Muay Thai. But, and back in the day, like, so I don't know what you would call this back in the day, because it probably was called Muay Thai, but back in the day, after I got out of Taekwondo, before I went straight to learning how to try to wrestle, I actually learned I went to a class where we was learning how to submit, like, and I know now you would call it Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu and all that type of shit, but, you know what I'm saying, like, I could make a motherfucker tap. I'm nowhere near Charles Oliveira, the GOAT, but I'm trying to tell you. But listen, we used to when it was in Taekwondo, we used to fight, right? And it would sometimes we would get people in our class who like came from karate, and the dudes and the women, the females and the men and women who would come from karate to over to Taekwondo, they would get their ass beat on a regular basis, bro. It was one dude who came over named Lou. I'm trying to remember, and the reason I say his name is because I haven't met this dude, seen this dude since I got done doing Taekwondo with him, bro. I left Taekwondo on a bad, because I'm fast forwarding. When I was in Taekwondo, one of the things that I hated from the first time I stepped foot there was the patterns. We used to have to do like these shits called patterns, and I hated patterns, bro. Like, to this day, I never liked patterns. I will never like doing patterns. Like, that was just some shit I never had no interest in. Shit that I know will not benefit me for what I want to do, I always rebel against it for some reason. Like, I try to see the value and the purpose in it, but I just can't. That was my thing with patterns. Now, my cousin, that motherfucker took this shit so serious, right? So you would see him get first place at tournaments for patterns all the fucking time. And my goofy ass would be coming home with a first place trophy in sparring and either a fourth, a spirit award, or no trophy at all. I don't like spirit awards, so usually when we did patterns, I would fuck up on purpose. I'm being dead ass serious. You can ask my cousin if we could talk to the judges who was in some of my mats, who was in my section, who could tell you, like, yeah, that motherfucker just did not give a shit when it came to doing his patterns. Like, he had no interest in doing his patterns. One of the tournaments that I had competed in, that I had finished in first place in fighting, I also finished in third place in my pattern. And I was so shocked when that happened, because you gotta understand, at tournaments you do your patterns first, then you do your sparring. And I always wanted to go first at patterns, because I knew that I was finna just run through that shit real fast and never do it again. About to start mentally preparing to fight motherfuckers. That was always my MO, right? Except for the one time where I was sick. And the one time, I done told this story before, but I was sick once. And I was also in a group full of racists. It's no two ways around it. The judges was racist. And I already knew what was going on around me. And this was the first time I had lost and I had cried. And that's how pissed off I was. And so this was the first time in my life that I had ever lost and was like, bruh, I am going to avenge that L, bro. Like, it's no... So I came in last place in my in patterns. But the shit that pissed me off the most, I was sick that day, but I didn't really realize how sick I was until it was time to, like... Because my body and shit was feeling off the whole time, the whole ride over. I wasn't feeling like myself. And usually when we go into these things, these tournaments and shit, I'm all hyped up. Like, I'm juiced, bro. Like, I'm thinking about who I'm knocking out today, who I'm about to fuck up. Like, that's all I'm thinking about. Going into this tournament, bro, like, my stomach was killing me, but I didn't really pay it too much attention. Everything was hurting on me. Like, my body hadn't recovered from all the training I had did up to that point. And so once we got to that fight and we got into the mat and everything, and I ran through my pattern, I got last place. The first dude I fought, when I started to fight this dude, bro, he had hit me with a punch and I felt it instantly. I was like, oh, this motherfucker pretty strong. But I beat this motherfucker. For one, he should have got disqualified because he hit me with 3 illegal hits. But the judges did not disqualify. I don't know why I just fucked that word up. The 4 judges did not disqualify. I think it was actually 5. Either way, the judges didn't disqualify this motherfucker for those illegal hits. And he kept doing them. And they didn't disqualify him. So I'm like, and he wasn't winning the fight. So that's why I'm like, and even if it was a close fight, still, that's why I'm like, yo, how the fuck right now is this dude not get... So I was already pissed about that. And I'm not one of them people who like, oh man, if you know this illegal, you should do... But that day, that's just the zone I was in, right? We get done fighting. And I lost. I came in last place. Because we fought first based off of some goofy ass bracket, I lost. For one, somehow I was the last ranked fighter in that bracket. Somehow, I think. And the dude who I fought was ranked first somehow. I don't know how I was ranked last, but it didn't matter because on a healthy day I would have whooped everybody's ass in that fought that day. But you need to understand, I sat there for about 40 minutes to an hour doing nothing because I had came in last place out of everything, bruh. I cried the whole time I sat there, getting madder and madder, just thinking to myself, I cannot believe these motherfuckers just did that to me. Like, I was so pissed, bruh. I remember my uncle coming over, either my uncle or my aunt, one of them came over to console me, because I think it was my uncle, the one who looked like the Big Show. Big Unc. I believe he came over to console me, and he saw how pissed off I was, and I'm crying. Like, I had never cried in my life about losing something, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just, like, for some reason, this was really bothering me, bruh. And I remember when they did the podium like it was a fucking Olympic or something, everybody in there happy, yeah. And I'm just like, man, I cannot fucking believe this shit, bro. Like, I'm and I don't like crying in front of people at that time because I hadn't cried before at that point. So I'm crying in front of these people and I'm trying to hide my face and shit, and they trying to tell me, hey, look up and blah blah blah. And they tried to hand me spirit awards, my guy. I bullshit you not, bruh. I tossed them bitches, dropped them on the floor. My uncle and my mama, one of them picked them up, and they tried to talk to me. My instructor, the dude who trained me, Mr. Deese, phenomenal instructor. I remember him telling me that day, he was just like, bruh, this not gonna happen again. Okay. It's crazy that I gotta stop the story and do this. I actually don't remember if Mr. Deese was the one who told me that or the black dude who was in the class who told me that. One of those two had saw me like that also after the tournament, and they was like, bruh, this ain't gonna never happen again. From that day forward, they had already planned out my next tournament that I was going. You gotta understand, I was one of the best in our class, if not the best as far as like fighting. So that looked bad on our class. Like, yo, y'all best fighter just came in last at everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could always joke about, he just don't care about his patterns. That's never gonna change. But when they saw a motherfucker who used to coming in first and second, I don't even like talking about how I came in second. I'm being dead ass serious with you. You know how some people talk about I only remember the losses, never my wins, how winners do that? I dead ass cannot remember the people who beat me at those tournaments. Aside from that one where I got completely last place, every fucking sparring tournament I came in first or second. I cannot remember the people who beat me for those first place trophies. It only happened like twice, and I dead ass cannot remember the people who beat me. Like, I didn't even keep the trophies. Like, my mom put them shits up, and like my brother broke 2 of them, but all my first place trophies, yeah, I love those. I had a couple of those, and I'm not bragging, but I loved fighting, bro. So when I remember that day that we had planned out my next tournament that I was going to, and I remember the way I trained from that loss to that next tournament, bro. Ask my uncle. It was he must have knew. He must have felt it. Like, I have to be at his next tournament. When I tell you I beat the shit out of every single person that I fought that day, I'm talking about I beat the shit out of everybody. And the last person I fought was this other black dude who was kind of bigger than me. And he was beating the shit out of the people who he had fought that day also. And my uncle and my family and them, they like sitting right behind me in the bleachers, because this was at Wake Forest, in they gym. My parents and my guardians and all my family was sitting in the bleachers right behind my mat where my group was. And so my uncle, I could hear him the whole tournament like hyping me up when I'm beating these motherfuckers in fights. I done knocked 2 dudes out. I done knocked 1 dude out of the fucking mat that we fighting on into another mat. My uncle going crazy. Like, me and him talk about this shit to this day. He going crazy, like, that's my grandson. Yeah, let's go, John. Like, he just, y'all better not ever. Y'all better not ever. But my uncle, he going crazy, like, let's go, Saint, let's go, Saint. And so we get to this last fight, and I'm fighting this black dude. We start fighting. He a pretty good defensive fighter. But what was special about this dude was how strong he was at this age. Like, I was a great fighter, technique and all this type of shit, but I wasn't as strong as this dude. This dude is one of the reasons I decided to start weight training to try to get stronger. Because I'm like, yo, this dude is, like, he not that much bigger than me. He really not bigger than me at all. He not taller than me. He don't really weigh more than me. But this motherfucker got the strength of 10 bricks in his fucking hands. The shit that fucked him up, I think, though, was he was too aggressive. He wasn't really a thinker. He wasn't calculated. He thought that just because he saw me demolish these dudes all day that I was going to come in there and do the same thing to him, like fight reckless or something. But I remember, like, thinking to myself, like, bro, I'm never reckless with it, bro. I'm calculated the whole time. And so me and him fought. I wonder if this dude remember this fight. If one day when I'm big, I want to meet this dude. I also want to meet the dude that I knocked out specifically, that big tall white dude that I have fought. Not on no racist shit. Just I want to ask him, do he remember that? because of how long ago it was and what was he feeling in that moment. Like, do he remember how he, because that might have been his D-Day, or I don't know why I just used that phrase. That might have been one of his lowest of lows. Like how that previous tournament was my lowest of lows. That tournament could have been his lowest of lows that made him completely change. Like, me knocking him out and embarrassing him in front of his people respectfully, that could have changed his shit. Because if I put myself in his position, yeah, that definitely would have been a turning point. Now, if I had came in and lost back-to-back tournaments, bruh, I would have been hot. Like, I would have been pissed. Like, you don't even understand. It's a good, now, towards the back, now, I ended up winning that tournament. But towards the back end of my career in Taekwondo, I got hella cocky. I'm not even gonna lie. And I started to feel like, yeah, we starting to do more shit about and I will always appreciate the fact that Mr. Deese and all of the instructors kept it fun. Like, they understood we train hard, but we also want to have fun. And it got to a point, like, I went to a Taekwondo camp, which was one of the funnest experiences I've ever had in my lifetime. We played nighttime laser tag. Dead ass one of the funnest experiences I have ever had in my lifetime. So I will always appreciate, you know, the people that I met at that Taekwondo, the instructors, all of them. And if I could go back and do it again, I wouldn't. But I appreciate do it differently, I wouldn't. But I basically quit Taekwondo because to me it was like, none of these dudes in here is on my level no more, so I'm not getting better. I wasn't willing to learn anymore. I thought I knew everything because of how good a natural fighter I was, and the fact that they trained me to get me even better at fighting. I was like, yeah, I definitely don't need y'all no more. I can go to the next level and shit. When I first got my ass whooped in wrestling by a dude who could actually wrestle, and he was balling me up, I remember sweating profusely, bruh. Thinking to myself, like, bruh, how do I get this big motherfucker off of me, bruh? Like, how do I get this big motherfucker off of me? And he was obviously in my weight class, but I'm thinking to myself, he all his body weight on me and shit, and I'm trying to have to move it, and he's stiffening down, like making himself heavy. So I'm like, oh my God, bro. And my biggest reason for leaving wrestling is because I hated wrestling. I just thought it was boring. You gotta understand, I grew up a WWE fan, still a WWE fan to this day. So I was like, yo, this is not the wrestling that I be seeing on TV. Now, obviously, when I got a little bit older and shit, I got back into it, but I wish I had done wrestling yet. But the high school I went to didn't have wrestling, bro. So I was trying to find wrestling outside of schools and shit. So if I could go back and like fully commit to wrestling, I would. I would be way bigger right now, bro. I would commit to wrestling. Wrestling, to me, if you can wrestle, bro, you can get far in MMA. And if you can, recently I want to take up boxing. Because as great as, you know, all the different type of trainings I've done, I can honestly say nothing gets your hands better at striking than boxing. Now, I have met some motherfuckers who can strike. Like, you got to think, like, so the way we train to fight, me basically, you use your elbows, your knees, your feet, you know, all parts of your body is a weapon. And when you become a legitimate striker, fists rarely become your first thought because you can strike with so many things. You're never gonna become over reliant or too reliant on your fist because you can strike with so many different things. And doing that, you don't get really as great with your hands as somebody who trained in boxing. I just know this to be true because I got a homie who used to train in boxing, and he was so far and away better than me when it came to the hand. Like, it's kind of embarrassing. I didn't actually fought somebody before who was a boxer, and he didn't win the fight, but you know, he could have. if he was a thinker, he could have, cause he popped my lip and everything. And what was fucking me up was the jab he kept hitting me with, bro. That motherfucker kept popping me with a jab, bro, and he was in and out. I remember I fought this pussy one time, bro. Well, I was trying to, bro, and he hit me with a jab too. But he kept doing this shit when a whole bunch of people was in front of me. Like, he would do it and dip. Like, bro, I done told this story about this pussy Vaughn before, bro. But anyways, we at the 19-minute mark. I could keep talking for a minute, and so when we hop into that 20, boom. Wrasslin with Saint. Let's talk about this week in wrestling. Raw, SmackDown. So yeah, we can go ahead and do that shit. Fuck it, 20 minutes. Actually, you know what? Break. Took an early one tonight. This episode, man, we on break, so I really shouldn't be giving y'all no nuggets until we get off a break, to be honest with you. And now a word from our sponsors. We ain't got one yet. That's all right. Just imagine, though, one day when we do have a sponsor. All around me are familiar faces, worn out. Yo, for the life of me, I can't understand why they won't make a Gears of War movie, yo. Now, to the people who gonna see this in the future and be like, hey, you seen that Halo? Yeah, that shit trash, bro. That shit trash. Also, you talking to somebody who is a huge Halo fan, but somebody who also believes that the Halo story is garbage, aside from Halo Reach. You also talking to a Halo fan who don't like playing as Master Chief, bruh. Listen, I'm almost guaranteeing you that most people who say they love... Listen, back in the day, this don't happen no more, but back when it was EB Games and not GameStop, back when GameStop was just coming up and looked like a square-ass store because it looked too clean and neat, it didn't look like how EB Games looked. Back then, EB Games used to do midnight release parties, right? And I went to a couple Halo. I think the last Halo release party that ever happened was at GameStop, and when I went to the one on Hope Valley Road, I think that's the name of the road here in Durham, and they had a Halo 5. No, it wasn't Halo 5. Yeah, which one was the one where the two motherfuckers was? I think it was Halo 5. I don't think it was Halo 5. It wasn't Halo. Yeah, it was Halo 5. Me and my cousin went to the Halo release party for Halo 5. Almost every single motherfucker in there said that their favorite Halo was Halo Reach. Almost every single one. I'm not bullshitting with you. And the funniest part was, it's so exciting when motherfuckers was like, what's your favorite Halo? And when I say Reach and we all get excited, or when somebody else say Reach and I get excited. And almost every single one of us, the biggest reason we liked Reach more was, for one, the story. A lot of motherfuckers like the end of the game. But most importantly, every single one of us liked customizing our own Spartan. And we all was tired of using Master Chief. We was fed up with it. We like, bruh, all the different options you can use a customized Spartans and shit, why can't we do that in story mode? Like, we don't want to use Master Chief no more, bruh. But we here to talk wrestling. So, tomorrow night, we got Money in the Bank. You know we gonna do a Money in the Bank breakdown. You know we gonna do that. There's no question we gonna do that. But I just gotta say something, man. It's so funny from where I started. When I started wrestling with Saint, I was not a big Becky Lynch fan. And now you fast forward it to however many months, a year, however long it has been since that first episode of Wrestling with Saint to now. Big Time Becks, one of my favorite wrestlers, one of my favorite WWE superstars, and on the roster. Like, yo, and I said a couple months ago, I was like, I hope what they doing with Becky is not turning her into basically a Seth Rollins, a female version of Seth Rollins, because that'll be very irritating. And they didn't, thank God. Becky, Big Time Becks, excuse me, is so, like, even the Undertaker was praising her. Now I think it's funny because I'm gonna just leave that alone. But what you are seeing from Becks, Big Time Becks, is a superstar who fully understands what they are, what they can do, where they can go, how better they can get, and they know every single button to push. Hey, what we need to do right here? I got you. That's where Becks is right now. She is where Roman is at. She is where Charlotte is at. She is where even Bianca is not quite there yet. Bianca, don't get me wrong, you know how I feel about Bianca. That's the future GOAT. Even you can make an argument she not quite to where Becks is yet. Now, obviously, Becks been doing this for a long time, but boy, man, yo, Big Time Becks is so. I was watching her tonight thinking to myself, man, she should have a title. I dead ass was thinking it. She should have a title. She should have a title, not Bianca's. Becks need to get that feud going with Ronda Rousey. Now, I love that Becks has got a feud going right now with Asuka. That's a feud that I don't think a whole bunch of people pay attention to, but that's been a long-lasting feud that's been going on. And I love this type of booking, long-term booking. I love this type shit where you continue a feud from like it might have happened 2 or 3 years ago, but you keep building on that feud. Like, I love that type shit. And Asuka and Becks then had a feud going basically forever. I understand Becks got the Charlotte feud and Asuka got the Charlotte feud. They all got feuds against each other. But this one, I love it. And Becks hitting Asuka with a drive-by Beck bottom tonight. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember. I'm going to get the name right, Becks, on the next time you hit it. But Jesus Christ, bro, she is just so good. She is just so good, man. Like, it's so crazy how, bro, where she started and where she is at. Could you imagine? I saw Carmella post the other day, and she talked about all the different gimmicks that WWE throw her way and how she knocked every single one of them out of the park. She never bitched, she never complained, she never walked away, she never quit, she never bitch about, oh, they're not using me properly. She take every single thing you give her and she turn it to gold. Just like The Miz. You know how I always rave about how The Miz take every single thing you give him and he make it feel big? The same can go for Carmella. Just an absolute gem. Somebody who we won't talk about as well. I talk about a lot of wrestlers, but somebody who don't normally get talked about as much as a Roman Reigns, a Becks, a Bianca, or a Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? Fucking WWE. One of the biggest reasons WWE can be as great as it is and operate the way it can is because of motherfuckers like The Miz, motherfuckers like Carmella, motherfuckers who you don't look at as goats or something like that, but in all honesty, they're goats. Because you could have a roster full of CM Punks who bitch and complain all the time about, oh, you're not using me right. It's nothing I'm doing. It's everything you're doing. If you had a roster full of those, you would never succeed. And that's exactly why certain wrestling companies tanked. You have to have people who are willing to buy in. And not just buy in, completely own the property once they buy in. Like, they own that shit, man. That's what make Becks, not Becks. That's what make Carmella so fucking great. But when I look, circling back to Becks, when I look at every single thing Becks went through, like where she started, not necessarily what she went through, but where she started and how her evolution to now. Carmella and her evolution to now. The Miz and his evolution to now. Miz owned the room. Every room the Miz walk into, he owned it. You give that man a mic and he finna spit gold. You giving him a mic for 10 seconds, he finna give you 10 seconds worth of pure fucking gold. The Miz just gets it. That is a first ballot Hall of Fame. I don't know why my words is going nuts tonight. That's a first ballot type of Hall of Famer in any type of industry, in my opinion. Carmella, you might not look at her as a MVP or a Hall of Fame. That's a first ballot. I can never remember seeing a report that talked about Carmella being unhappy. I can never remember seeing Carmella on my TV screen and saying to myself, man, Carmella not giving it her all. Or Carmella half-assing this. Nah. Every time you give Carmella something, she knocked that shit out of the park. And that's why her evolution has been so beautiful. It's no bad points when you somebody like Carmella, because you don't take shit as, oh, this is bad. Nah, you take everything and like, let's turn it into gold. I'm not gonna have no ugly parts of my career. I'm gonna look back and enjoy all this shit. That's beautiful. That's one of the reasons I love wrestling so much. Because you have people like superstars like a Carmella who might not be viewed as a Becks or a Charlotte or a Bianca or a Sasha. But look at where Sasha is right now. And I hate to really have to tie, because you know I love Sasha. Greatest counter wrestler of all time. But look at imagine if Carmella had chose to take the Sasha route. Never satisfied. Constantly feel like you're being done dirty or underused. Could you imagine if WWE gave Sasha some of the shit that they done gave Carmella to work with? Could you imagine? I mean, Sasha wouldn't even be here right now if she had to do some of the shit that they done had Carmella do. I mean, let's be honest. Sasha, a 24/7 title was beneath her. I would make an argument the 24/7 title haven't been relevant since Carmella and R-Truth had it. She took R-Truth, who was a comedic GOAT already, and made that even better. Had people actually rooting for them. Carmella can be a good guy, and she can be a bad guy. So seamlessly, so easily. She can get you to cheer for her, she can get you to boo her. That is gold. That is greatness. That is GOAT level type shit. She owned the room she walk in. She can get the crowd to do what she want to do. She got you in the palm of her hands every single fucking time she out there. Some people look at Carmella and, you know, the childish wrestling fans will look at them, oh, the only reason she gets the opportunity is because she looks good. Newsflash, buddy. Every WWE women's wrestler look good to somebody. Stop it. Stop it. All these women look good. What are you talking about? Because the women can make the case that Roman Reigns only big because he looked good to them. Like, what are you talking about right now? I hate it when y'all try to do that shit to these women wrestlers, bruh. And you want to know one of the reasons this shit pissed me off the most, bruh? And I wish I had this type of energy for the WNBA, but I don't watch the WNBA like that. Like, Candace Parker is my GOAT, even though I know Diana Taurasi is that shit, and so is Maya Moore. So I do watch it, but I don't watch it nearly to the level I watch NBA. So I couldn't sit down and talk to a motherfucker about the WNBA. Women's wrestling, WWE wrestling, women in WWE wrestling, I understood. I've been around long enough to see where it started when I was a kid to where it's at now. I never in a million years could have imagined I would be seeing a Charlotte, Sasha, Becks, Asuka, Bianca, all these unbelievable women who do it better than most of the men. I could have never imagined that's what I would be at right now. So to me, I mean, just goodness gracious, Carmella definitely deserved to be looked at as one of the greats. I'm glad I thought about that, about her tweet, because I definitely wanted to give her some love and praise for that. Because she is absolutely right. You motherfuckers don't like it when people toot their own horn, but nah, Carmella should have a victory lap for that. Because she right. Name one time Carmella was not into something she was doing. Name one time she wasn't giving it her all. Name one time she couldn't control the crowd and control the reactions that she wanted. You gotta appreciate shit like that, man. You gotta appreciate shit like that. But let's get back to Becks. Seeing where Becks started is Becky Lynch, the man, more Becky Lynch obviously before you get to the man, but seeing everywhere Becky Lynch has gotten, I didn't think Becky would get to, let me change that. I knew where Becky could get to, I just didn't like how they went about it for so long, and now the big time Becks feel like they finally figured it out, like they figured it out, she figured it out. This is where, because I didn't like the man character. I said that multiple times. I didn't like the man. Based off of that gimmick, it just wasn't a good gimmick. It wasn't a good gimmick. I understand. See, let me break it down for you. Let's say, as the man, Becky says, I'm the greatest. Now, let's say she say that as Big Time Becks. I'm one of the greatest, or however she sound. No disrespect intended. I hear the man say that and I'm like, but you not though. And it's not even about the evolution of the two characters. It's just like what the man was. I was like, but you don't put on good matches. You haven't figured out how to work a crowd, to be honest with you. They just cheer for you because they like you because you was losing for so long. Once that finally wore off, people started to finally get tired of her and whatnot. So I never thought that the man was a good character. And plus, I could see the shelf life on that character when it started. It was some Becky Lynch characters that was great. But when they turned her heel, instead of turning Charlotte heel, that was a flaw. That made absolutely no sense. That's when you double down on your hero character. That's when you double down and say, she don't have to be stupid and still love Charlotte, but Charlotte should have been the one that flipped and got conceded after that as the natural heel that she is. But then you painted Charlotte as the good guy, Becky as the bad guy. Nobody wanted to cheer Charlotte. Now, I love Charlotte. I will cheer Charlotte every fucking time she pop up on the screen. But I want to cheer Charlotte as a heel. I don't want to cheer Charlotte as a face because I know she's nowhere near as good as a face as she is a heel. She's a natural heel. Just like Becky Lynch. See, what Becky is right now is not necessarily a heel. Becky is a heel, but she's not necessarily a heel. She's basically a tweener because everybody loved Becks. But you understand that you got to boost some of her underhanded tactics. Plus, you got to understand that they smart enough to put her in the ring against great fucking faces now. Now, that also got a lot to do with the faces. You got a great face in Bianca. You have a great face in Asuka. You have a great... I was going to say Liv, but that's not a great face to me. But you have these... But Liv, as far as like her fan popularity, Becks had... It's been very hard doing this video because I keep wanting to say Becky Lynch and Becky because it's just easier to say that. But I keep having to say Becks or Big Time Becks. So, yeah. Doing way better than I thought I would, though. But anyways, when you can put her in the ring against those type of opponents, that instantly... And they have great... Because Big Time Becks done had some fucking great matches. That Dewdrop match was great. Then she had great matches with Bianca. Then she had a great match with Lita. Like, Becks has... And that's all I wanted was what I've been seeing from Becks. Not just being better in the ring and being able to carry a match. Because for too long, I didn't like how... Go back and watch the WrestleMania with her, Ronda, and Charlotte. Ronda and Charlotte carried the majority of that match. And that's exactly how Becky matches was going at the time. Or the man matches was going. And I was like, yo, this is trash. Like, I don't like this. And fans is not giving this a legitimate response. They only doing this because she had lost so long. The story, what they begged for is story. But when it come to her, they throwing the story out of the window because, we don't care because she lost so long, so we just going to cheer her anyways. And regardless if you realize it or not, the WWE hear that. And so they're going to continue to book her for you guys. And you're going to eventually hate it because right now you're giving her cheers based off of just liking her because she lost so long. But you're not giving her the proper reaction off of how the story is going. How the story, if it makes sense or not. One of the greatest things they did with Big Time Becks was brought her back in SummerSlam and had her win the title off of Bianca like that. Because that's what started the path of her becoming Big Time Becks. She finally understood it. She got it. She matured. She grew with every single thing she did. And look at her now. I'm telling you, she cut some of the best promos in the WWE. When she on the screen, you feel it more than you feel most people who come onto your screen. She owned the room. She owned the mic. She owned the ring. And she make people feel bigger now. What she said, I really got to remember that quote that she said to Bianca. I did yada 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 so you could do something. I gotta go look. I'm gonna post it at the beginning of this video, I promise you. But like, she has reached, and obviously I thought this was gonna be me breaking down a lot of the things in wrestling tonight, but and it will be. But man, bro, I'm dead at. I was so blown away by Becks this past week or so. Just like, man, she has hit new heights. And it's unbelievable what you can see from these people, from these wrestlers, from these superstars, when you just sit back and allow them to be great. You can be critical and all those type of things, but don't let your emotions, your unwarranted, twisted emotions have you feel a certain type of way. I always told my homies, I don't dislike Becky Lynch, a person or nothing like that. When she beat people who I like, I'm not mad that she won the match against somebody I like. I'm mad if she win matches that don't make sense story-wise. I'm mad at how she might win a match. That's what I'm saying. Becky Lynch, I say this all the time. I like every single man or woman in the WWE. I like every single one of them. I have, unless they do some fuck shit, like, something wild. But other than that, I have no problem with any of them. I want all of them to be successful and great. The reality is, all of them might not be, but I'll never have a problem with them. Every time I'm talking about them, it's just me critiquing them, and it might not sound like it, but I'm critiquing them based off of what I think they can do to become great, to become a household legend, not just a household name. Anybody who can come into the fucking WWE can become a household name. Mind you, Logan Paul just signed a deal with the WWE, and I know it's a lot of indie wrestlers and shit out there that's mad, and a lot of fans. Oh, it's wrestlers over here who do about 1,000 flips a day. Every time they in the ring, they do about 1 billion flips and super kicks, and WWE won't sign them. Yet you got this dude, Logan Paul, who is a big name. He has a following. He clearly worked hard when he got to the WWE in that match he had. Clearly is an ambassador of the WWE, meaning he wants to bring a light on WWE, and it's something that what y'all gotta understand is a lot of motherfuckers, it's more motherfuckers out there like Pat McAfee than it is motherfuckers out there who just hate wrestling and want to do it just for the money. Okay? Logan Paul can make money anywhere he go to. You gotta actually love this shit to want to waste your time. Not waste your time, to want to actually put your body on the line and shit to do this. Because the WWE is completely different. You can get a whole bunch of love on Twitter and on Facebook and on YouTube. But when you get in the WWE and you get in the middle of that ring and you get a mic and them motherfuckers start to boo you or give you no reaction at all, which is the worst, when you can hear yourself talking, oh man, I feel bad when I see that shit happen. But hey, listen, that is not the worst thing that can happen to you. It is, but you should know you can only go up from there, because I still tell people, I remember to this day, when the New Day first got together and they had them motherfuckers as like black preachers going down by the riverside, and Big E was a preacher and shit. They had them motherfuckers come out in like blue church-like robes and shit. When they first came out, they got absolutely no reaction. Go back to the Raw that they came out. The fans wasn't cheering, wasn't booing, they wasn't doing nothing. They knew who Kofi was at the time. They knew who Big E was at the time. They might not have known who Xavier Woods was at the time, because he had came from TNA. But they knew who two of those dudes was for a fact. They definitely knew who the fuck Kofi Kingston was. No reaction. Crickets. You could have heard piss hitting the toilet. So, that's not the worst reaction, because look at where the New Day started and look at where the fuck they are now. The greatest tag team all time, in my opinion, and not arguing it with you. Well, actually, I will argue that with people. I'll debate that with people. I don't mind debating that, because it'll be some people out there who think the Usos are the greatest tag team all time, and it would be hard for me to argue that also, because I do believe the Usos and the New Day are two of the only teams and the reason, and I understand people who like Devon, the Dudley brothers, and D Generation X and all that, but back in those times, tag team wrestling was big. Like, people knew who the tag teams was most of the time and things of that nature. And it was a whole bunch of different tag teams you could go up against that would make that you didn't have to carry everything, because the other tag team was big tag team also. Look at what New Day and the Usos have to, and we could talk about where the Usos started with the face paint and all that goofy shit. Well, it wasn't goofy, but it's goofy compared to where the fuck them boys is now. But the reason I look at the New Day and the Usos as the two greatest tag teams I've ever seen, and this might be unfair to other tag teams, but just personally to me, no other two tag teams was able to keep that title relevant like they were. Every fucking time you put those tag team titles on those two groups, you know for a fact, on those two factions, you know for a fact that they're gonna knock it out the park with everything they do. We had like a 2-year fucking mega years for the New Day where they was just killing shit. And now the Usos having they run where they just killing shit. I know we remember all those matches those two had together. Like, those two teams are inducting each other into the Hall of Fame. There's no question about it. Those two teams, they can induct each other individually, like the tag team partners will induct each other individually. But when it comes to inducting the New Day as a team, oh, it's no doubt that the Usos will be the tag team that inducts them into the Hall of Fame. And when the Usos are inducted into the Hall of Fame as a team, it's no doubt that the New Day will be the team that induct them into the Hall of Fame. Like, I really think I will feel robbed if Rikishi or somebody from their family induct them into the Hall of Fame. Like, I dead ass will feel robbed. I hope that the New Day and the Usos look at this run that they done had together the way I look at it, as a legendary fuck. I mean, you gotta remember, bro, when Kofi was trying to get to the top, the New Day, when Big E and Xavier Woods was about to fight in that gauntlet against the Usos, bro, the Usos stepped out of the ring and let the New Day win as a sign of respect, bro. The Usos and the New Day done had some of the greatest fucking stories I've ever seen in tag team wrestling, in any company. If they don't induct each other into the Hall of Fame, I will feel so fucking robbed as a fan watching those two teams my entire life. I've seen every single match they've had in the WWE as teams. Every single one. Every gimmick. Everything. What they have meant to each other's careers. And what's so beautiful is how they got to the top without each other. And then when they got to the top, they made each other so, they took each other to heights that you couldn't even believe they would reach. Because the Usos got big again by themselves. They got big in the beginning by themselves, but then their resurgence came not because they was fighting the same team all the time, just because they started to break through, as did the New Day. And then remember when they finally started to interact with each other a lot, and then we finally started to religiously get New Day Usos. And people was like, oh, we could get this all night and we'll never get tired. Look at the heights that they took each other to. I'm going to be real pissed the fuck off now that I'm thinking about it if these motherfuckers don't induct each other into the Hall of Fame, bro. Like, please, Vince, don't let these motherfuckers not induct each other. Even if you got to talk. Like, bro, if I was sitting in front of one of them motherfuckers right now and I was like, yo, if y'all going to the Hall of Fame, who you think going to induct y'all? And they, who y'all would want to induct y'all? And they be like, oh, maybe our mom or something like that. I'd be like, well, I mean, you sure y'all want the Usos? Like the rivalry y'all had, the legendary shit y'all did together. You sure y'all don't want the Usos to induct y'all? And the opposite, if the Usos like, we probably gonna get Pops to do it, or our brother, or Roman. I'm like, I mean, that's cool, but you sure you don't want the New Day? The rivalry y'all had, the legacy y'all done created with each other, the legendary shit y'all did, you sure you don't want the New Day inducting you? That's just me. But speaking of the New Day, speaking of the Usos, well, shit, speaking of both of them, the New Day, oh, you know what? Let me start off with the New Day, because I'm actually glad about this. I'm talking about this, because I meant to talk about this. Well, I didn't mean to, obviously, because I didn't have a show wrestling with Saint a couple weeks. Haven't had that in a couple weeks now. But the New Day, and first off, shout out Shanky, big man with the moves. Hey, man, and I'm all for Shanky dancing in front of the ring announcer, Samantha Irvin. Unfortunately, big man, that motherfucker Ricochet got to her first, my man. That motherfucker Ricochet going to sleep every night a happy man. Shout out Ricochet. But the New Day was attacked last week by the Viking Raiders. Or I don't know if they just calling them the Raiders now. Same gimmick. They just heels now. I'm glad this happened. because I hate it when people think that I'm being, mean to Liv Morgan, or I might be hypercritical of Liv Morgan and blah blah blah. I promise you, I'm just being critical of Liv because I can see she is some potential there. Mind you, she hit her finisher tonight, the Oblivion. Phenomenal name. And it's a great finisher when it looked, when she hit it properly and whatnot. It didn't look good tonight. I also don't like that funky ass looking code breaker that Liv do, because the person need to go all the way down with you on that shit. You can't hit the ground before they actually start to even go down. So I don't really like that. But I also tell you straight up, I don't like that they done teamed up Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss. To me, that truly set Liv Morgan back, especially when you didn't have to do that with Alexa Bliss, who is an already established name. Like, Alexa Bliss don't have to be teaming up with fan favorite people or nothing like that to get a name out there. Also, what are we doing with Alexa Bliss right now? Because I'm seeing a lot of people talk about her winning Money in the Bank. I'm gonna be honest, I want Becks to win it. I don't think Becks will win it, but I want either her or Asuka to win it. Obviously Bayley not coming back, and I love Bayley, but she said she want Liv to win it, so fuck Bayley. But Bayley, you still I still love you. But yeah, terrible predicting. I'm glad that Becks called you out on that shit. But yeah, I think I'm going Becks. I think after all this talking I've been doing about Becks, I'm pretty sure you ain't surprised by that pick. But yeah, I'm going with Becks. And I'm going to just let you know, I am a full-time Becks fan now. Like, full-time. Like, just to put some perspective in it. My favorite wrestlers and my favorite WWE superstars are currently on the roster: Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair. I would say Charlotte, but she ain't on the roster right now. I think she just got married, so congratulations to her. I think she got married like a couple weeks ago or whatever. Congratulations to her and Mr. Charlotte. So I'm not gonna say Charlotte only because she not fighting right now. But Charlotte's one of my favorites. But Becks, AJ Styles, even though I don't know what the fuck going on with AJ right now. Miz. And yeah, I'm not gonna get crazy. Oh, and Bobby Lashley. I can't wait till they figure out how to get Bobby to where he need to be as a face. And they doing great with Bobby as a face right now, but I guess it's just I'm scared they're gonna turn this man to a cornball, bro. And I don't think that'll be necessary, because look at Drew McIntyre now. You can make an argument, because Drew basically has never evolved. Drew has been Drew since he done got back. That maybe, I don't think necessarily Drew need to evolve as far as his character. But Drew's evolution the last couple months or whatever is he changed weapons. Or it's funny. Speaking of the Viking Raiders, or the Raiders, or weapons, they used them weak ass shields to beat up on the New Day tonight, bro. Hey yo, and I just want to say something. See, this is one of the things that they do with the New Day and the Usos. They're not gonna do it with the Usos right now, because the Usos the ones and everybody else is the twos. But when the New Day is like, they don't have the titles on them, because obviously when they had the titles, they instantly start putting everybody else. But the New Days is one of those teams that you can use to put people over even without a title. Like, the New Day are on the level of a Becks, where you just if you have a match with them, you instantly going to be bigger, because who they are. They know how to put people over. They know how to work a match. They know how to work a crowd. There's nothing the New Day can't do. The fact that the Raiders, the Viking Raiders, have been here this long, went through this gimmick a multitude of times now. Done start on this fucking gimmick multiple times now. To me, I don't even know what you do at this point, because I don't think that this gimmick is gonna work. I think they will eventually get the titles put on them, with this new rebooted heel type thing. But eventually, there will come another tag team that feels bigger and better than the Viking Raiders or the Raiders, as happens every fucking time the Raiders come around. It's other teams that feel so much bigger and better than them because they talk better on the mic. They sell stories better. They better in the ring. And listen, the Viking Raiders are great in the ring. But you can't tell me that you don't look at Viking Raider matches and think, damn, all these bitches damn near look alike as far as everything they doing in these matches. Now go look at the Usos and the New Day. And look at how many different ways they can skin a cat. That's all I'm saying. So I don't really think that this shit gonna go anywhere ultimately with the with the Viking Raiders as far as like taking them to the next level. Because it might have been a time where you could keep starting, stopping, taking them away, bringing them back. But to be honest with you, when you take a wrestler away and you bring them back, bro, if they already was established, it won't matter. Like, when you have to keep using this shit to make people better or to make them, like, refresh them, I don't know. I just think that's going to end up being a problem, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know, man. Because now I'm thinking about Elias. And they never really had a stop, start with Elias. And technically, Elias is still out there. But obviously, we know he is Ezekiel right now. And I know it's going to be some jackasses. Maybe this will be dated to the point where when people see this, Ezekiel won't even be a thing anymore. But obviously that motherfucker is Elias, bro. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me and Kev. Yo, it's disappointing that motherfucker couldn't have that match with Kev, because that means Kev would have been the one in the match. I guess Kev caught COVID. That's what it gotta be. Gotta be the COVID. But I do want to say, I'm glad that they didn't fucking put him in that tag team match anyways. I'm surprised that Madcap is the dude who got in. I thought Miz or, I guess I'm not too shocked that Madcap the one who got in now that I'm thinking about it, actually. Yeah, I'm not that shocked that Madcap the one who got it. Shout out to Madcap. I wanted Corbin to win. I'm going to tell you something that kind of pissed me off tonight. Y'all know how much I like the Deep Six and the End of Days? He performed both of those bitches tonight. And I was looking away when he performed both of them bitches. And I heard them say it both times. And I was like, oh, are you serious? And this is exactly why I don't take my eyes off of Corbin matches. When Baron Corbin, it's going to be shocking to people. And I didn't call that man Baron Corbin. When Happy Corbin is on TV, when he was Baron, when he was... I do not take my eyes off of matches that he is in. It is some people who I like, who I will walk away from a match while they wrestling to do something. I don't walk away from Baron or Bianca, because when you have moves that clean, I gotta see them. That's one of the joys of watching. Like when Baron Corbin or when Happy Corbin performed the Deep Six in the End of Days, bro, I gotta be in attendance, my guy. My eyes gotta see that. I done seen the bit so many times. That's why I like it so much, bro. Now, I have said that, you know, the KOD is the top move for me right now. But I'm going to be honest. Nah, it's still there. It's still there. I was finna say I haven't seen a shit ton of them lately, but you remember that pay-per-view? Her last pay-per-view, she didn't even get that shit off. In that triple threat match she had with Oscar and Becks. Still not happy about that. And on that same pay-per-view, I believe that was the same pay-per-view where Baron Corbin didn't perform the Deep Six or the End of Days. Or was that the pay-per-view before? I think it was the same pay-per-view, bro. Because I remember tweeting like, bro, I just watched the pay-per-view where Bianca and and Happy Corbin was on it, and neither one of them performed their moves, bruh. I was like, what kind of shit is this? Like, WWE better not never do that shit again, man. I was really disappointed when that shit happened that night. I was like, bruh, how you gonna have 3 moves that filthy? You got the motherfuckers who perform those moves on the show, and you make a conscious decision to have those two motherfuckers not perform any of those moves. Keep teasing us with it. And for Corbin, motherfucker didn't even tease us with it. He got nowhere near hitting that deep six in that match. Or the end of days, I believe. He hit those shits tonight, though. And he lost. He did lose. Because him and Pat got a program that's about to start. It's SummerSlam. I don't even think he done accepted the fucking match yet. Baron. Happy. What we doing, my guy? Now listen, I'm very torn on this match. I am very much torn on this match. Because I'm a big Pat McAfee fan, man. I'm a huge Pat McAfee fan. But I am a huge Happy Corbin fan. Now, I'm gonna tell you what would be the caveat. If I had won any of those giveaways that Pat had done, I would have been loyal for life, and I would have picked Pat regardless. But because I rarely even enter them shits, because I'm a dickhead who don't want to compete to try to win free money, and I've never won when I did enter them, I feel like I can still be biased. I feel like I can still be impartial here. You know what I'm saying? Because like I say, if I had won one of his giveaways by this point, it's no shot I would be picking against Pat. I could win a Pat McAfee giveaway and it was for like $50. It's $50 that I got from somebody for free that they didn't have to give me. So I'm instantly going to be loyal to Pat to the soil. But we ain't in that type of situation. So I'm picking Baron to win. Now, Baron's not going to win. I think Baron's going to win because I think this program going to get drawn out. Ain't it so crazy how Baron Corbin and Pat was roommates at one point in time, and now fast forward, they about to fight each other at SummerSlam? What a life. What an absolute beautiful life. You can only dream about shit like that. Hell, do you even dream about that type shit? Jesus Christ. Obviously, when they both got to the WWE, it became a possibility. But, Pat's an announcer. Now, my man's a wrestler, too, undefeated at WrestleMania, obviously. And Pat's definitely a wrestler, because when you think about it, he got initiated into the wrestling culture by one of the GOATs, one of the absolute GOATs of the game. To a lot of people, he is the GOAT, and Stone Cold. You take a Stone Cold Stunner and you get to drink a beer with Stone Cold at Mania, you initiated, as Rick Ross would say. I'm so sophisticated. Yeah. Becks is really the real deal. But listen, we're going to talk about something else. We're going to talk about something else. You know what I should have done? I should have made this a predictions video for SummerSlam. But I didn't. I'm going to do that for the next pay-per-view. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Why have I never thought about that? Have I ever done that before? I probably have. There's so many videos that I'm doing. That's probably why I didn't do it. But man, that's crazy. You think about it, in the future of this channel, though, I'm going to have different shows going on at the same time on the channel. So I might be on one show, but then as soon as that wrestling show pop on, I'm going to hop right on over there. I'm going to always be on the wrestling show. I'm going to just tell you that right now in the future. Like that the wrestling show will always be my baby. I'm just telling you right now, when the company become big and we got a group of people doing basketball, a group of people doing different football topics, a group of people doing different baseball topics, I'm always gonna be with the group of people doing the wrestling topics. That will always be something that I hold very, like, I might give a lot of creative control to a lot of different things because I'm just that type of motherfucker. I like to see other motherfuckers flourish and see what their visions is too. Very hard. Very selfish with the wrestling visions. I take advice. I'll take, help and things like that. My vision, for the most part, will always rule out something that if I had to pick between something that I might not like or something, because I love this shit. I love this shit. You dig what I'm saying? Listen though, didn't do the prediction video, but don't worry, bro. We're gonna do a SummerSlam prediction video, bro. It's gonna be all good. It's gonna be all good. That's gonna be a big pay-per-view anyways. I wonder who. Oh, I can't wait till those matches start getting it out. That's gonna be a big pay-per-view. Yo. Now I know we could talk about a lot. Oh, you know what? Last thing we'll talk about before we get on up out of here. We're gonna talk about the main event of SmackDown. Oh no, you know what? I'll talk about that at a different point in time, bro. Bro, John Cena 20-year anniversary. Hey, 20 years. Fuck John Cena. Not the man, the character. Listen, bro, I seen all these motherfuckers giving him, I saw fickle Daniel Bryan, the guy who he fought against, like not John Cena specifically, but the type of person he was fighting against his entire career, the machine, as you will, was John Cena, basically. And he making a thank you video to Cena. You got all these motherfuckers making thank you videos to Cena. Man, fuck Cena. Where's the heart? Where's the integrity? Where's the heel that come out there and say, man, fuck you and your legacy? You know who had to do it for us? Theory. And real quick, breaking character for a second. Shout out to John Cena and respect to him and all that, breaking character for a second. But I didn't break character to actually give John Cena his respect. I broke character because I want to address something. This is what I was talking about when I say people got these twisted, idiotic, misplaced emotions for wrestlers. The way people have been going at Austin Theory in comment sections and shit, basically calling this kid a bum, really going at him because they just don't like him. For one, that means he's doing his job to a T. But then you got people who will be like, no, it's not that I don't like him because he's doing his job. I just don't think he deserved to be here, or he looked like this. And then, how can you be looking at Austin Theory right now and not be seeing an absolute fucking young stud? How? Because you don't like Vince McMahon and he Vince McMahon's protege, you hate this man in real life? Like what is going on? Like, I understand not liking the character as far as like in wrestling terms, but to not like this dude at all in real life, period, just because of a character, y'all can't be serious, man. Like, dead ass. Bro, y'all have to grow up. This is why every time I'm having a conversation with a dumbass wrestling fan that say something stupid to me, like I was having a conversation with a dude the other day where he was like, I want Riddle to do this and that, but the WWE won't let him do this. And I'm like, bruh, that's a real childish way to think of something. If you continue to think like that, then you're going to hate wrestling all the time. If you think that the only reason they can't win is because the WWE is holding them down. To think like that as far as a story is fine. To actually think like that with all of wrestling, like, oh, they can't make it. I wish they'd go to AEW. Bro, they don't wish they would go to AEW because the checks ain't the same. Like, I'm so very confused as to this blatant hate for him. But back into character. So my man Austin Theory, or Theory as we calling him. Oh, actually, back out of character. But yeah, y'all gotta let that shit go and grow the fuck up. Back into character. So Austin Theory, my guy, tells Cena basically, fuck you. It's 2022 and you a grown man wearing Jordans, you bitch ass hoe. Theory, I felt you on the hey. I just want to say something. I need something to drink. That's not what I wanted to say. Listen, I want to say something. Motherfuckers was getting cooked in the WWE last week and some this week. I mean, I'm talking about Shotzi continuously, and it's crazy because Shotzi didn't even send out shots on the week where everybody was getting shots sent out at him. Motherfuckers was getting disrespected on Raw. Motherfucker, Ronda ended it all off with her promo against Natty on fucking but she murked Natty again tonight too, bro. But her promo against bruh. Ronda Rousey verbally assassinated fucking Natty. And Natty been going hard. Natty had a dope response on Twitter a couple days ago. But boy, Ronda. Who the fuck taught Ronda how to talk like that on a mic, cuz? That shit was crazy. Bro. And Natty's response tonight was so trash, bro. I was so disappointed. I'm like, Natty, what the fuck is this? Now, Natty, also, we got to get past this rack shit. Like, you can't marinate on a joke but for so long. You done did the rack thing and the cupcake. And okay, now we got to go to the next thing. Also, what is so bad about having her lose and holding her baby? Like, that's a weak comeback. Because I can literally hit you with a, yeah, and when I win the title, I'm going to hold that, and I'm going to be holding my baby too as well. You right. Like, come on, man. Like, Natty, I expect more out of you, bro. But the verbal assassination this last 2 weeks in the WWE done been at an all-time high. I absolutely love it. WWE want to, well, I'm already a fan, but you want to make me even happier? Keep letting motherfuckers basically talk shit to each other, bro. I love that shit. I love that. Just let motherfuckers keep walking up to each other just going nuts. Like, bro, one of the biggest reasons I like Shotzi is because every time she on my screen, she talking shit to somebody. Never backs it up, but always got that fire. Got that dog in her, bro. Dog haven't got enough, haven't won nothing, but got that dog in her, bro. She talks shit to everybody. I love it. She talks shit and then proceed to lose, but that vitriol in her shit talk, boy, is something else. That's what I'm saying. Right now, Ronda got the crown, bro, because that shit talk she sent Natty's way the other day was in fucking. You don't expect Ronda to be able to hit that type of promo. I think that's what it is. You don't expect Ronda to be the one that do that, to verbally assault somebody like that. And when she did, Jesus. And you know what's crazy, though? I actually do kind of expect that. Because on Ronda Rousey on Twitter, some of the shit she done said to fans, I'm like, yeah, for one, I agree with her. But two, I'm like, why the fuck they didn't let her talk like that in the WWE? It's going to be very interesting seeing a lot of feuds with Ronda. Because Ronda is she attack you personally with all her feuds. I'm starting to realize that. Ronda take deep gashes at you. Like, Ronda don't like sugarcoat and shit, bro. Ronda is going to the bones, bro. I respect that shit. But with that, I appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. Oh, no. That's the wrong fucking show. What are we doing? This shit right here, Wrasslin with Saint. Now, I know we could have talked about the Street Profits tonight. Could have talked a little bit more about the Usos rivalry coming up with the Street Profits. But listen. Everything we didn't talk about, you got to believe we're going to talk about tomorrow. We might talk a dibble and dabble into a little bit of it on tomorrow's episode of Wrasslin with Saint, when we do the Money in the Bank breakdown. Don't worry, I got you. So with that, I appreciate you for joining me. Remember, we the ones, they the twos. Saint out.
I think I have all the momentum in the world. Big time. Brainy bicep bank Becks. You're looking at her.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, she know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy. Scoop her up like I'm raking or something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber. You out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.